I can't believe that every day there's a new story when it comes to Bronny James. Like, and I mean this. I honestly do mean this. That I would love for this situation to not be newsworthy, because at the end of the day, like, it is, and it's something that is just going to continue to become more and more newsworthy the more ridiculous it becomes, and the more people are being told that their eyes are lying to them. And that's just the truth of it. Again, nothing personal ever with Bronny James. Seems like a nice kid. Seems like a really nice kid. I think LeBron's, like, I would give my opinion of LeBron, but it's like saying Republicans buy sneakers too. Whatever side you go on that debate, if you give your actual opinion, people are gonna kill you. Um, but when it comes to Bronny, you got to talk about him like he's a professional athlete, and you got to also criticize the media for how they're treating him, for lack of a better word, like he's the team's mascot. And yeah, so we are going. Is my light flashing? I'll turn on my other light just to make sure everything's okay. Yeah, so we're going to go on to it now. But before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 3,000 subscribers by the end of the day. And right now we are about 60 off. That would be absolutely unbelievable if we could hit that by the end of the day. But anyway, this is a tweet from Shams. It says here, Shams Karania says LeBron or Bronny James isn't a normal everyday G League player. Yes, because he's only there by nepotism and he's not good enough for the G League. Bronny isn't just your normal average G League player for all the reasons we just mentioned. His name is Bronny James, and there are some things that go with it, right? Like, I mean, I don't know if it's a security thing, but there's a different level of fanfare when he's on the road for G League games. But, like, he played at USC. He went on the road for college games. Like, was there no issue there? Was there no issue there? Like, how is it any different than him being in LA? And, like, I'm sorry, but he is, okay, he's Bronny James. He's a celebrity. Like, people are acting like, man, I saw Rudy Gobert just walking through LAX a couple of years back. Rudy Gobert is a lot easier to spot because the man's 7'2" than Bronny James. I'm sorry, just walk around with security in the airport. Go and sit in first class in your flight. I'm sorry, like, Bronny James isn't a level of celebrity in himself that he should be on a charter flight every single place he goes for the rest of his life. Like, I'm sorry. Get your security, go to the freaking first class lounge, rock up, walk onto your plane. Nobody says anything. Nobody will say anything. There's definitely like sections in the airport where they put celebrities and they can basically put them on their planes early. There's definitely something like that. Like, that is the biggest load of bullshit I have ever seen. I'm sorry, like, if it's a security risk for him to play G League games, like, then why is he even, like, he shouldn't even be in the G League. If it's that much of a risk for him to play and he's not good enough in the first place, then why is he even in the league? A different level of everything than when he's with a G League team. So how do you manage that on the road? I don't know. Like, that's, like, so basically, because he's a celebrity, you have to make special, you have to treat him differently because he's a celebrity. It's basically like okaying him being treated differently, him being treated like an NBA player when he's not. Like, I'm sorry, the amount of people saying, oh, he's there to sell jerseys, oh, he's there because the crowd like him. Why did LeAngelo Ball not make the NBA? In 2018, LeAngelo Ball would have sold jerseys. We all know that. We all know how popular those Ball brothers were back in those days. That Lithuania team sold out of jerseys. LeAngelo Ball was a ultra celebrity. Why did he not make the league? If that's the reason. Obviously, it's nepotism with Bronny James, but, like, LeAngelo Ball's 10 times better than Bronny James at basketball. I don't think the door is necessarily completely shutting in playing these road games G League season goes on. Yes, it is. Because these problems don't change. So now you're flip-flopping Shams. Because, again, Shams isn't going to say anything wrong. He's Shams. He knows what's going on. So now you're flip-flopping. Now you've completely flip-flopped and said, oh, he can't play G League games because, well, like, it's a security risk. And, explain to me, how is it a security risk? Just honestly explain to me how. Like, there is, like, celebrities bigger than Bronny James get on flights all the time. Get on commercial planes all the time. It's not a security risk. That's just a bullshit excuse. And then, if you want to say, oh, the door is not shut, then what's all this about? And what's the first part of that statement about? If the door is not shut, then what's the first part of that statement about? But right now, that's the plan the Lakers have laid out. They want to continue to shuttle back and forth, spending as much time in the active roster as possible. It is very typical for a second-round pick to shuttle back and forth to G League. Yeah, but it's not typical for a second-round pick to sign a 4-year, $8 million deal off a year where they average 4 points per game in college on 30% shooting on a terrible college team as a 6'1" shooting guard who can't shoot, can't dribble, can kind of pass, not at the NBA level, can't play defense, can't rebound, is strong but doesn't use his size, is athletic but doesn't use his athleticism. That's not normal. That's not normal. It's typical for a second round to shuttle back and forth. Yeah, but it's normally typical for those players to shuttle back and forth, to be averaging more than 5 points a game on 10 shots a game in the G League, to be averaging significantly more points than turnovers in the G League. But it's like, it's just excuses. It's just excuses from the media. So Bronny's basically permanent take your kid to work day child. Yeah. That is it. That is it, though. A second round pick has never got this much attention. A second round pick as bad as Bronny James would not have signed that deal. A second round pick as bad as Bronny James would have signed a freaking two-way and never been called up. He would have signed a two-way deal, played in the G League. If he was as bad as Bronny James was in the G League, he would have been cut from the G League team after a year. That is how bad it would have been. He would have been cut from the G League team and he'd be over playing in third tier in France. Like, if his name wasn't Bronny James, that would happen. At the end of the day, like, the amount of people are like, oh, you know, LeBron James cost Bronny James a 4-year college career. No, he didn't. Like, maybe he did. Bronny James could have been a really solid 4-year player at a mid-major. And you know what? He could have been an absolute legend playing D2. But, like, that didn't happen. So, we just got to talk about it like it is. And I think the reality of the situation is you can say, oh, why you keep talking about Bronny? And I think as long as the media continue to treat him like he's a sideshow, I'm going to keep calling it out. Because the reality of the situation is that Bronny James right now is a professional athlete. He is a professional athlete making millions of dollars. The reason why these professional athletes can make millions of dollars is because people talk about the sport. The reason why there's so much money in the sport is because of the media. If people stop talking about this type of stuff, then, one, there's no money to be made from them. That's the negative of it, is that people will talk about it more. Just like I know, for example, obviously this channel is never going to take off, but the bigger this channel gets, the more I'm going to be scrutinized, the more I'm going to be criticized for what I say, and that just comes with the territory. With all of this, comes with the territory of being in the NBA, it comes with the territory of everything. And we also have to take into account that we have never seen anything like this before. Like, we have seen players, like people still to this day call out Doc Rivers for bringing Austin Rivers with him. Do you guys know what Austin Rivers averaged for one of his seasons playing under Doc? Like, Austin Rivers was a starter for for a lot of teams he played on. He was an elite sixth man, and he had a season where he shot 38% from three and averaged 15 points a game in the NBA for the Clippers, who made the playoffs. He averaged 15 points a game for a playoff team and shot nearly 40% from three, averaged 4 assists a game, and yeah, that is the level of player Austin Rivers was best. He was the number one recruit in high school. He was in the league with or without his dad. Obviously, his dad did sign him, but he was in the league anyway. He was going to be in the league anyway. Bronny James, I'm really interested to see, is Bronny James playing basketball in the year of 2027? Like, that is the real question. Like, Bronny James just looks like somebody that's happy to go along for the ride. And to be fair, so would we. Look, everyone watching this, if our parents offered us a spot in the NBA, even though we were nowhere near good enough, and you'd take it. You would take it. The only thing that annoys me about Bronny James is him saying, I'm not going to play away G League games and being a part-time G League player. That is the one time, like, every single one of us would have said, yeah, I'm gonna be in the NBA. None of us would have complained about being drafted. Every one of us would have been happy and thought, you know what, people might not think I'm good enough, but I'm gonna prove it. But when you have been as bad as he is in the NBA, even with the offer of being a part-time G League player, I think him not putting his foot down and saying, no, I'm playing in the G League, I'm earning my spot back in the main roster, because the money's guaranteed. The money's guaranteed. It's already, even if you are, like, we've all played on teams in basketball where we're just out of our depth. Like, he knows he's out of his depth in the NBA. It seems like he knows and he's completely just accepted that, yeah, I'm a sideshow and I'm cool with it. Like, and that's the problem. That is the problem. Like, I don't think there's any real will to get better. But it doesn't help when you've got Shams basically admitting, you know what? Yeah, Bronny's getting preferential treatment. And you know what? Like, well, we're going to make every excuse in the book for why Bronny's playing home games except for what the real reason is. The Lakers don't make money on away games. He plays home games. They sell out those home games. The Lakers make their money. He sits on the bench at the end of games. If it's a blowout, the fans chant, "We want Bronny," and they get happy. He is the mascot. And sometimes they'll let the mascot play on the G League team.